In Kenya, we have 3 days that are related. If you want, you can say 4. We have Madaraka Day, like today. We have Uhuru Day, which is Independence Day, and we have Jamuhuri Day. To me, those days, the 3 of them, Madaraka Day, Uhuru Day, and Jamhuri Day, should be combined and made one day. We should choose one day, preferably the December date, to be our single day. Of course, we have a 4th day that we used to be called Kenyatta Day, but nowadays it is called Mashujaa Day. The only issue I have with Mashujaa Day as of now is that we have spent so much time concentrating on heroes who are there in the pre-independence days. We do not recognize the heroes of today. It is possible to still recognize the heroes of yesteryears and still recognize the heroes of today. Do you know that Justice Chesoni and there's a professor, I think Oum or somebody, who left Kenya, went to South Africa, and stopped a civil war. As South Africa was about to gain independence, there was tension between Inkatha Freedom Party and ANC. 2 Kenyans left, and they are recognized in South Africa as heroes, but in Kenya, imagine, I've even forgotten the name of the other person who accompanied Chesoni. So I am a very good example of Kenyans. We forget our own heroes. So Heroes Days should even accommodate heroes of today. That is Mashujaa Day. We will go back and talk about 1st June 1963. On 1st June 1963, Kenyans were given responsibility. So in Kiswahili, responsibility and promotion are called Madaraka. That's why we have Madaraka Day. On this day, there was an election, and there was an election of which KANU won, but they refused to form a government until Kenyatta be released. So the person who was heading the government was called a chief minister. That was Ronald Ngala. But later, Jomo Kenyatta was released. When Jomo Kenyatta was released from jail, he came and led KANU to win an election. So the rank of chief minister was renamed prime minister. So Jomo Kenyatta became a prime minister, of which the head of state was the monarch, the British monarch. That was on 1st. That is why we celebrate the day, commemorating the day that we were given the responsibilities of ruling ourselves. You know, we used to be a colony. So Kenya ceased being a colony on 1st June 1963. Countries like Uganda and others were protectorates. So you rule yourselves, but under the king or under the monarch. That is what happened on 1st June 1963. So we were given responsibility. Responsibility in Kiswahili is Madaraka. Then, less 6 or more months later, we became an independent nation. I can say that for those 6 months, Kenya was more or less a protectorate of Britain. So when it reached 12 December 1963, Kenya became an independent state, where the head of state was the British monarch, and who was being represented by a governor. Now the governor, you see, all the time the governor was called a governor. Now he became a governor general. That is, he was representing the monarch. And you'll realize that apart from the principal minister being renamed, because previously he was called a chief minister, he was renamed to be called a prime minister. Prime minister, he was called a prime minister on June 1st of the Protectorate of Kenya. You can call it a protectorate. Then on 12th December 1963, Kenya became a state, an independent state, where the head of state was the British monarch. And we had now our own flag, which to date we still have it. It will say the British flag was lowered. So between 1900 to 1st June 1963, Kenya was a colony of Britain. So from June, Kenya was still a colony, but a sort of a protectorate, where the Queen was the head of state and Kenyatta was the prime minister. So we were using the British flag, and the vehicles were called OHMS, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. On Her Majesty's service, yeah. O is on Her Majesty's service. So in December 12, 1963, the British flag came down. The Kenyan flag went up for the first time, 1963, December 12th. And the government vehicles, which were OHMS, were now replaced with the GK. GK standing for Government of Kenya. Now the Government of Kenya was a government like the following countries. You know, Jamaica is an independent country, but the British monarch is the head of state. Do you know that Australia, New Zealand, and whatever, the way New Zealand is, the way Jamaica is, the way Bahamas is, the way there are so many countries, you find that the head of state is the British monarch. But when he goes to that country, but because today we have King Charles, when he goes to Jamaica, he does not go to Jamaica as King of England. No. He goes there as the head of state of Jamaica, head of state of Australia. That is how Kenya was between 12th December 1963 and 12th December 1964. We were an independent country just like Jamaica, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. But then 12th December 1964, we became a republic where we had our own president who was the head of state. Now there is something little I want to tell you, a very big secret that is hidden in the Museum of Kiganjo. You see, for KDF to start any formation, Special Force, Delta Force, the commander-in-chief of the KDF has to authorize that. So between 1st June 1963 and 12th December 1964, that is 18 months, Jomo Kenyatta secretly started an air force, Kenya Air Force. So what he did, and if it is the first time you are hearing it, go to the till number. What he did is that if he were to start an air force, Kenya Air Force, then it would mean that he was the prime minister from 1st June 1963 to 11th December 1964. For 18 months, 18 and a half months, he was the prime minister. And he was not the commander-in-chief. So starting something like an air force, not even an air force, if you have to start an kitu kama wreck company inside the army, inside the air force, or inside the navy, you have to have an approval from the commander-in-chief. But he was the prime minister. The trick he did was that he started with around 20 cadets. These cadets themselves were Kina Gishuru, he later retired as Captain Omondi, and so on. There were about 20 cadets who went to Kiganjo. Kiganjo knew that these were not police officers. The 20 knew they were not police officers. But the Queen, the Prime Minister, Jomo Kenyatta, told the Queen that he was starting a police air wing with those two. So if you go to Kiganjo, there is a junior training wing, officers. Then as you go towards the gate, you will find the commandant's office. Opposite the commandant's office, there is the officers of the CDI, Chief Drill Instructor. Those were the classrooms that the first cadets, Air Force cadets, were doing so. So when Kenya became a republic in 1964, 12th December, Jomo Kenyatta, in his position as the commander-in-chief, then started Kenya Air Force. That's why if you go to Isili, you'll be told Kenya Air Force started in 1964. Back to the topic that I was saying, that these 3 days, what is so special about Jomo Kenyatta being given responsibilities or Madaraka on 1st June? It is just having a lot of holidays for nothing. So we should combine, do away with the 1st June, then these other two fall on the same day, so that everything that is concerned with that, we combined it in one day, Jamhuri Day. We have a problem with this day that is called Utamaduni Day. So confusing, and they should sit down and maybe place it on the 26th December. I've talked about Mashujaa Day. Let us, as bad as it is to forget the Mashujaas who are there before independence, but we have Mashujaas today. We are not remembering them. So we should go back and remember them. Thank you.